So we will jump right next into the next panel, which is about AI. 2023 is the year when AI went mainstream. Sometimes it went ballistic if we follow the latest OpenAI news. A natural evolution, what would say, of a field that's still scratching the surface. So the next panel will talk about the rise of AI, and I would like to invite the moderator of this panel, the former Chief People Officer at UiPath, overseeing the growth from 100 to 3,000 people in 3 years. He has been a business angel and growth advisor since 2020 and is right now the chairman of the board of TechAngels Romania, Marius Istrate. A round of applause. And if we can move the chairs a bit over to this side. Dacă putem muta scaunele și aici. Mulțumesc. Imediat să mutăm. Îți las și microfonul ca să prezinți invitații.
Thanks, hi, good evening everyone. Very nice to see you all here. I'd like to gradually invite one by one our guest speakers on stage. I'm going to start with Mrs. Alexandra CERNIAN. She's an associate professor at the University of Bucharest, an expert evaluator in digital innovation for the European Commission. She's also, an AI and blockchain enthusiast and the co-founder of Recyclux. So Alexandra, whenever you're ready, feel free to join us on stage. The second founder we'll be having on stage is a fellow angel investor, founder and CEO at Genezio, Andrei PITIដ្ឋ, more than 30 years of experience in the IT industry. So Andrei, please join us. Next is Dan MIHÆESCU, founding partner at GapMinder Ventures. You probably know the venture capital firm. They lead investments in B2B platforms enabled by machine learning, automation, AI, cybersecurity, enterprise software, SaaS, and the former boxer, ladies and gentlemen. So welcome, Dan, and thank you for being here. And not at all in the list, Alexandra, please. You're already introduced, but a round of applause for Alexandra also, please. And last but not least, again, a former, a fellow investor and a colleague in TechAngels with more than 20 years of experience in M&A transactions, background in Big Four, major banks, independent advising, a key player at the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, overseeing direct equity investments in Romania and Bulgaria previously, and in the very near future, set to become a partner for EarlyGame Ventures. Please welcome to the stage Florin Visha. Welcome, Florin. Thank you for being with us. And you're forced to sit next to me, so. All right, let's make this exciting for everyone here. I know it's late and people are beginning to get tired, but we'll try to make this speedy and nice for them. And if you'll allow me, I'm going to start with a quote, and then we'll discuss a little bit about this. Quote, "I would have thought that technology like this is years away, but it's here now. This is history. This is a technological achievement that can unveil a deeper understanding of our own intelligence. When we have questions, that's where we go now. It's transformative in the sense that we don't even know yet what it's going to become." Now, I'm not playing any tricks. This is not a trick question to fool you into anything. This is, I pasted together 3 statements made by researchers who worked on the IBM Watson team in 2011. So this quote is from 2011. 12 years later, we seem to be back into the game again. I mean, AI, and I could have dug deeper. I actually found some quotes from the 1980s, when the first advent of AI, that stated kind of similar things. So I'm going to start with a simple question. Why is it different this time around? What's going on right now in 2023 that makes this different? And with your permission, I'll start with the founders who are here on stage, maybe first, to tell us what's different this time. Alexandra.
I think the speed is different now, and the speed is much more accelerated than back when the AI concept emerged. So just as you were saying, the artificial intelligence concept is not new. It started, I think, in around 1960. the only issue was then we didn't have the right technology and the right computational power to support the vision of AI. But the meaning of what we now understand through artificial intelligence was formulated even back then. Then we took smaller steps in each decade, switching between rule-based artificial intelligence and neural networks, which are now much more powerful, and they have demonstrated that they can provide very significant progress in different domains. But this cycle will probably continue. Probably 10 years from now, we will be facing a completely new AI revolution, much more innovative and much more accelerated than the one that we are facing now. So I would just say that artificial intelligence is not something new, but the buzz around artificial intelligence is now very much popular. Much accelerated by the ChatGPT probably, and generative AI, which is now the new AI concept that is emerging. And in my perspective, at least, I think we will continue to see innovations emerging from the artificial intelligence domain.
We can't blame in the 2010s the lack of marketing. If you think about it, again, it's with IBM Watson, but they were sort of spearheading the effort. In the 2014 and 2015, they were promising we're solving cancer, we're curing all of these diseases using this system. I'm not joking. This is what the promise was, at least marketing-wise. So again, speed, computational power, and
access to data.
Access
to large volumes of data. And if you stop to think about, for example, AI in healthcare, there were a lot of innovations that solved a lot of problems. So they accelerated probably the way that we can have access to personalized medicine. We already have it, and we've had for quite a few years now different AI-based systems that are able to detect cancer with a higher accuracy than the medical experts. But the difference was that they were all very niched. I mean, we were training a system to detect, let's say, lung cancer or skin cancer. Now, the entire landscape is a bit different, because what the generative AI promises is to be able to tackle different types of problems with the same machine. So this is the novelty that we are facing now, and probably this is what kind of scared us in a new way compared to the AI that we were used to having around us.
Andrei, care to add to that?
De ce vorbim în engleză?
E cineva în sală care nu vorbește limba română. Anyone here who doesn't speak Romanian? Yes, that's why.
I'll translate after.
So we have guests in the room who don't speak Romanian.
Yeah, but now they have automatic translation. I mean, they can like use AI to translate.
There's AI to
saying.
instantly translate everything.
What's different this time is that people understand it and they can play with it. I mean, AI has been around forever, since we were students, even before that, in form of like neural networks. But a very simple technical explanation that is accessible to almost everyone is that back then words were encoded using one single integer number. So one word was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there were like, I don't know, thousands of words that were encoded. And right now one word is encoded using a matrix, using a set of many real numbers, 1.67, so numbers that need processors like NVIDIA is producing in order to compute them. So this is the technological advancement. But the real difference is that now people interact with AI and they understand it, right? And another moment, another glimpse in that was in '96 actually, when 96 or 97, when Deep Blue beat Kasparov in the game that was considered the game of the mind, chess. And it's chilling in a way, right? I mean, I had the pleasure of meeting Kasparov face to face, and I asked him, "Why did you stop playing chess?" And he said, "The computer beat me." And that was the end of chess, essentially, for that generation. I mean, now chess is taking a reprise, I think. But for that generation, and that example was something that caught the glimpse of the public, because the public, watched chess games and they understood that a computer beat him, and it wasn't even a movie. But then nothing else happened. I mean, you know, specialists had access to AI, doctors, researchers, everybody had access to AI. Google had AI that was, even generative AI, that was, you know, ready years ago. I mean, I have people that saw demonstrations of what it can do, but they didn't release it to the public, you know. So that's what actually happened. I mean, some of those guys, you know, went to OpenAI and they released it to the public. So that's what happened. I mean, it's, you know, generative AI, you ask a question, it's like language understanding is another portion of that that also needs a lot of processing. But what happened is that if you use real numbers and you train a network long enough, you form something like a matrix that has like neurons. And you, when you show this matrix a picture, you can see, no, and it has an apple and an orange in it. You can see the neuron for apple and for orange lighting up. So it's really nice. It's, you know, a toy for now that people are playing with, you know, and are discovering new things that it can do.
Seems like a well-rounded answer, and if you'll allow me, I'll actually for representatives of the VCs, I'll skip to the next question, which is really very much for you, because we seem to have gotten a pretty rounded answer for this one. Now it's everywhere, as both Alexandra and Andrei were saying. What we're seeing right now is that it's kind of plastered everywhere. Everyone's been touching it, using it, omnipresent in the tech lingo. I mean, even today here in everything that it was talked about, we heard the term AI. What does it mean for you guys as investors? I mean, does it carry any weight in the, you know, in you evaluating the startups that you're seeing and the pitch decks that you're seeing? And what are you looking for in these either startups or AR startups that leverage AI? Maybe Dan, you want to start first?
Yeah, I'll try in English for our people. So let's say this, there are a lot of startups that are remarketing themselves as AI-enabled type of startups. However, so we as investors, we have a very strong responsibility what we choose, because what we choose will have success. What we don't choose actually will probably lag behind. So we have to discover in all these interactions what has a potential to become actually true and become a business. In many ways, what we are looking for is like, well, is this solving a new problem that has not been solved before in any other way? Is it in solving an existing problem maybe 10, 100 times, 1,000 times faster and with lower resources, with lower footprint or whatever? Is this actually somebody buying a product? Is somebody needing that? So we need to understand these things. The technology is sexy, and we have seen in the last 5 years, 6 years with our fund, a lot of machine learning, deep tech type of companies, but the truth is that not everything went to the market. The truth is that deep tech, real deep tech companies need a long time to put a product in the market. So for us as investors, it's like choosing the potential winners, the guys who can actually turn this into a business, because we are investors. We are not in the R&D phase, which is much earlier in the life of a startup, right? So it's, yeah. Can this turn into a business? At the end of the day, all of these, for us as investors, are important to become businesses that have very good tools. Machine learning or any type of AI-enabled tool, it's just a tool. The basis for us as an investor is how can you turn it into a very fast-growing and very large business.
Impact, solving the true problem, of course.
Yeah.
Florin, you want to add to that?
In part, I would echo what Dan said. Clearly, AI is a buzzword, and it's been a buzzword ever since OpenAI, because, and to answer just in short the prior question, it works, or at least it seemed to work. Before, it was there, but some people knew it worked, but now everybody could see that it worked. So, yeah. Why is it a buzz? Because it works. Because AI is again going to the definition. AI meaning is something that mimics human intelligence. It's actually, and probably people still don't understand. It does not mean that it is an independent intelligence. It just mimics it, and it mimics it very well, with use of large language models, with the fact that it takes arguments from you and it feeds back to you something that is very logical and very well argumented. Now, in this whole context, of course, it's a buzzword, but ultimately there are two things. One, is there indeed, and again, echoing almost word to word what Dan said, is there a new product that the AI is enhancing that could not have been done before, but adding AI to something that is existing in the world and to a novel way of looking at things? Do you do something new that replaces it, that cannot have existed before? So yeah, that's something that we would definitely be looking at. The other, let's say, the other angle is that indeed AI has proven that it can do some things very well, which is again linked to language, linked to how well it expresses itself. So I guess every entrepreneur needs to be ready for a VC to ask him, how are you implementing AI in your product? But that doesn't necessarily mean that my product needs to be an AI. I mean, whatever I'm doing, I can add an AI layer on it and make it more interesting for my clients. And yeah, we would be asking that. But to try to mix the two, that's the wrong answer. By trying to sort of paint an AI product where it's just an overlay put on something that is existing today, that's the wrong way of doing it.
So you've now heard the VC's way of thinking around this. I would turn to you, Andrei, and then Alexandra. Andrei first. What don't they get about this?
What don't they get? No, I think they get it. I mean, yeah. I think that's about right. I mean, I think that the big winners will be the big companies that are developing the core of AI. I think that there's going to be a lot of money made there. I don't think it's going to be very easy to build product companies on top of that technology. I think that it's going to be very easy, though, to build services companies, and I think it's a huge opportunity for services companies to embark on the AI journey and see all the tools that are, and then go to companies and implement those tools or help them implement those tools. But I think that every company has to have AI embedded in every startup right now. I mean, what I've seen as an investor also, and one of the ways even Genezio was created was that we are in the dev tools market, and we have previously invested in a couple of companies that were helping developers write code that they don't care about, like the boilerplate code that everybody talks about. And then when AI appeared, even before AI appeared, we realized that there will be not needed anymore. So those companies right now, they've been made obsolete by the capability of AI to write code, write boilerplate code for you. Of course, there's the accuracy that it still has a little bit of problems, but most of it, they get it right. So a combination of templates and AI code generation is something that I think will be the future of code writing, and it's Genezio has those both features in it. So yeah, in code writing at least, there have been startups that have been made obsolete by the rise of AI. That's correct.
Alexandra, you can answer more broadly if you wish, not just about what the investors don't get, because they seem to get it. So what more broadly?
I agree with Andrei. I think they get it, at least from what I see now in the ecosystem. I think that things are starting to be clear for both sides. I have to say, probably, I'm also working as a consultant with startups, not only from Romania, but from all over Europe, in order to help them get funded through EIC programs, the European Innovation Council programs. So looking at the trends in the past 3 to 4 years, I have to say that probably 3 years ago, it was still easier to convince investors and VCs just by saying that you incorporate AI in some way in your solution, and it wouldn't have really mattered exactly how you did that or what the research behind that AI was. Most of the startups only had some rules implemented, and they would have said, okay, this is artificial intelligence because my system is capable of making some decisions, but it didn't really matter if it's really smart or an intelligent system. It just provided an output. And somehow I think at that moment investors were still quite easy to be convinced by this type of narrative. But I have to say now that those times are over. Investors have understood much better what state-of-the-art AI means, what to ask startups when they are pitching for investment. So I think things are quite balanced at the moment, and also I think the narrative of the startups working with AI needs to be adjusted and maybe changed a little bit so that they understand that AI is not the final purpose of a solution. It's just a means to solve a problem and maybe to do it better or more efficiently than it was previously done. So I think once those things get in the right balance, probably the entire landscape would have a new site, probably.
Yeah, it's interesting because you actually gave both perspectives. You gave an interesting one from founders' point of view, also what founders should be getting about this. Let me switch gears to the next questions, and I'll be starting with the investors for this one. And feel free to say what founders don't get about AI into this one. But what is the greatest obstacles, the number one obstacle that comes to your mind for when it comes to a brilliant tech team building a successful AI startup from this part of the world, because you are active here, but you must be looking at what investors are doing in the US and elsewhere. Number one obstacle that comes to mind.
Clearly, you cannot ask somebody to reinvent the wheel in Romania in 2023 end of year. So you know, rebuilding large language models is something that you cannot do. You need to work around it. You need to work on what is existing, latest state-of-the-art technologies. Even as Andrei said, you will probably have to pay for them, and then add. You need to add what makes you special to that.
Done.
Yeah. So your question was, what do the technical teams not get?
Yeah. What's the number one obstacle for them to build a really successful AI startup?
The rest of the team. Let's start with that, because you know the deep tech startups, and we have quite a few in our portfolio, start with very deep technical knowledge. Technical entrepreneurs as profiles. And not all of them know how to sell. Most of them don't know. Most of them don't know how to put a product in the market, but they think they can learn. And there is one single resource for any startup in this world that is more valuable than money, and that is time, really. So you need to compress time. That's why you raise money, compress time, you basically enlarge your team, and you get the help needed to put a product in the market, validate it, get first customers, scale it, maybe you get partner channel ecosystem, you get all those things. And the technical CEO, it's typically doesn't know how to do that. So what he needs is actually to understand very fast that, great, you have a high IQ team for developing this product, it's great. But you need those crazy guys that are not technical to actually help you to do this and put it into the market. Because at the end of the day, this is basics. How can you turn something like a project into a business? The basics are still there. No, it doesn't matter your background that you're technical. You need that part of the team. So I would say that's the largest failure point in most of the startups that are starting from a technical perspective, including those with machine learning, AI enabled and all that. And then the second is that, you know, technical people, most of them, not all of them, tend to be driven by rules in their way and and enjoy a bit of the creative / maybe anarchist type of profile. No, psychologically it's a profiling. And they got in love with what they read about the San Francisco and Bay Area type of model. And that's not that's a model that doesn't work universally. VCs, by the way, in terms of performance, in Europe, top quartile of VCs in Europe and the top quartile of VCs in the States are having very similar type of returns, which means basically that their choices of startups, the way that they help the companies to grow and everything else is not that far, right? But the way they behave and accelerate in the very early stages is actually very different. So my point here is like, you should not believe everything you read. You should adapt, and you should get the people around you that can help you to adapt. That's very important for technical profile of founders.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Alexandra and Andrei, maybe quick. Number one obstacle for, you're both founders of AI startups right now. What do you feel is the number one thing blocking you from going super fast right now, Alexandra?
Well, if I have to answer related to my startup, that would be the funding issue. But at a more general level, I think the startups in Romania are generally facing a lack of global vision when it comes to identifying a problem and coming up with a solution. At least from my personal experience, what I see a lot around me is the fact that they are kind of stuck in the landscape around them. So they look at the Romanian market, they notice, okay, so this is a problem in Romania, or we don't have this kind of solution in Romania, but they don't expand to see what about Europe or what about globally? Does something similar exist? So they just come up with a solution which might be an innovation for Romania, but then it will have difficulties scaling up at European or global level. Then it's probably also a resource type of problem that they are facing, also in terms of expertise, because we don't have enough specialists in deep tech on the market, not at the level of other European countries or
we still have the highest density per 100,000 people of trained engineers, at least in Central and Eastern Europe, except Estonia probably. But I'm going to have a follow-up question for what you just said, but please, Andrei, number one obstacle.
I mean, I agree with what Dan said, that some of the top VCs look similar, although European VCs invest more in like enterprise type of companies. Yeah. And if you don't have an enterprise story, I mean, if you have like a deep tech but not enterprise story, it's very hard to get past them. And US funds don't invest pre-seed in Europe, because why would they? Pre-seed, because pre-seed is like is like a prize. It's like something like you are encouraging somebody, and you believe in them. But why should they believe in a company that's in Europe, right? And that, I think, is the biggest hurdle. Also, I think that some of the funds had some negative experiences in Romania, and now they are afraid to bet on earlier stage startups. Yeah, I think it's like I love living in Europe. I think Europe is great. My whole professional career was practical in California, so I'm somehow like a strange creature in a way, like a hybrid. Yeah, I mean that's the biggest hurdle. And to solve, and I also want to, because Dan inspired me. He said that technical founders don't know how to do go-to-market. Most of them, and no, it's true. But now they can use ChatGPT, and they can ask, give me a go-to-market strategy for this kind of product, and they put it in the deck. And I mean, I saw that. So use like Zero GPT or something to look for ChatGPT generated go-to-market strategies, because there are going to be more and more of them, and they're not bad. They're not
but
bad.
You're going to see that they don't get it.
But at least if they're like copied verbatim, it's clear that they're put there just for.
But just to be clear, we see that. It's very visible. It's like,
I would imagine.
I mean, let's put it this way: AI at this level is very far from the human intelligence level. Right now, it's like Pac-Man or Minecraft. Very nice colors, interface. It's multi-user, and it needs an adult supervision, basically, not to go. That's what it is right now, and we still see situations where there are debates about ethics. Even now, these days, maybe it's too trivial to talk about it, but this last weekend was something amazing, which shows systemically there is a problem in the way you establish any supervision over an AI project, right? Big AI project, right? It looks like the NGO model is not good enough or strong enough to do any supervision of a development of a big AI project.
Yeah.
It needs something different. It needs something different.
So it's good that you brought that up, because I want to close with like final question and just 30-second answers from everyone, because we only have like 2 minutes left. But you know, think global and build global solutions. I agree, but we cannot abstract. We cannot ignore where we're living. We're in Romania. We're on the border of a war zone. This is happening right now. NATO is setting up a VC fund. They're trying to pour money into defense tech, encouraging us to look at defense tech, you know, technology for intelligence, and AI could play a role here. And I hear you, Florin, that we don't need to reinvent the wheel, reinvent OpenAI or something like that. But you know, the French have Mistral, the Germans have Aleph Alpha. We're talking about a European response to the Chinese and American advance in AI, and the European response is French and German. So I just want to ask you, all of you, maybe quickly tell us in 30 seconds, is there a Romanian response that needs to happen? Is there something that we could do? Or
I mean, if you're really implying on security, that's, I mean, the way I see it is that you need people that are exposed to the problem, that they can figure it out how to solve it. They come from a place, they figure out a solution, and as Alexandra said, it needs to be international. So yeah, there are people working in cybersecurity in Romania today that they could come up with stuff for that, but I don't think that's where our strongest point is. It could be in programming. It could be in all of these engineers that are actually finding how they can do their own lives better with the AI, and they could come up with new things. So you need to, in order to be global, you need to have a global situation, and then work from that.
Andrei?
I don't know if anybody noticed, but what happens right now is a race to build AI chips and compete with NVIDIA. This is what happens actually. So Microsoft is investing in creating their own chips. OpenAI was raising money to make their own chips, and NVIDIA, you know, because NVIDIA is the only supplier of chips. Right now, the software that trains the models is open source. I mean, you can get the software, you can get the data. The only thing that you need in order to have an AI model, to have like an artificial brain, is the chips. In my opinion, Romania has to secure enough chips so that we can train our models. So that would be, you know, I don't know where to get them from, like, because they're in very short supply. I mean, there's a huge line, and you know, NVIDIA is giving them to the highest bidders, and I don't think, you know, we will see how that will play out. I don't think we can make them. I don't think we're at that point, but we should be able, through NATO or through something, to be able to secure, if not at the Romanian level, at least at the European level, enough chips in order to train the models on data that we can gather.
Alexandra?
So there might be a response coming from Romania in terms of using AI for defense and intelligence. There could be a niche for that, although I don't think that that would be something really publicly available, so that I really doubt that there will be a startup coming to market with such a solution, but it is one of the fields that probably, I don't know, our intelligence services and defense services could be working on, just considering that they would have access to the right level of expertise, to the right specialists in the field, and to the right amount of data, because anything that we're talking about in terms of AI needs large volumes of data, which might or might not be available in Romania or in the region.
Yeah.
Look, what I've seen in the last few years is that the Romanian startup ecosystem has become wiser and starts to specialize and understand what is available. Like Andrei said, it's like B2B, enterprise, SME, they start to do that, and they should stick with their strengths of understanding how to build a business based on the technology. So for that, yes, I've seen some very good projects, as we, as GapMinder, have seen some good projects that are specialized on this. In defense, I didn't see any impressive one in Romania. using AI. I've seen Israeli ones that are very active right now in detecting fake news and all that, and with dual usage for both defense and civilian. I've seen some things. None in Romania that is even on par with that. Just to be very blunt. I heard about something in Poland, in that area.
Chips, you need chips. There are no chips.
Yeah, of course, there are chips.
Like you need the chips, the GPU. There are none.
Yeah, so
Israel has chips.
Of course. But in entire Central Europe, if I am to pick up one country where there is something with strong dual usage, it's something in Poland that I've never seen anything at that level in Romania.
Well,
just to be very
there is at least a senior guy who was working on this, but cannot talk about it. So.
Yeah, I know a few startups as well, but they're more in the like drones and.
Yeah. Thank you very much, everyone. Really appreciate it. A round of applause for our participants here. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Marius. Thank you for this panel.